Hi, I'm Louisa Rossiger. I'm a dream tender and creative coach, and every month I share a few of the dream images and themes that are coming through collectively right now, as in more than one person is having dreams where these images and themes are presenting. I talk a little bit about what these images might mean, why it is I think that they're coming up right now, and how we can really use them or let them guide us into living our full potential collectively and also personally. So this month, I'm going to talk about two different images that have been coming up consistently throughout the months of May. And it really seems that these images have an invitation, although they are quite different. The invitation seems to be the same, which is to let go of our sort of illusion of fear, separation, dependency, and to awaken to our own hearts and the treasures of our hearts, really awaken to love and intuition. And so the first image I want to talk about is owl, the bird, even though owl seems like so much more than just a bird. But owl has been coming up a lot for dreamers this past month. And not just in dreams. People have told me that they have had visitations from owl, that owl has sort of been hooting all night long, or they've seen owl for the first time out in the hills. So owl really seems to want our attention right now. And I did a little bit of research about owl just to sort of discover what the symbolic qualities of owl are. And what I discovered was that owl has this ability to turn her head almost all the way around, which really signifies this 360-degree view on life, where all of the things that might otherwise be hidden or that we've sort of shoved behind us, maybe forgotten dreams or things in our past that we don't want to think about, or whatever it may be, that owl really has the capacity to bring these things back into the light. Owl is also an animal that can see in darkness. She has an incredible attuned sense of hearing. She can hear tiny little animals foraging on the ground if she's flying high above. And so she really represents this sense of a different way of seeing, and a much sharpened sense of hearing and seeing. Her wings are completely silent, so she can swoop down and grab prey and just fly right back up again. Um, it's almost like a sudden stroke of lightning or a sudden stroke of insight, a sudden sort of chilling premonition. And I think we can probably all hear that hoot of owl, the otherworldliness of that hooting, of that sound that owl has. So she really represents intuition, wisdom, sharpened senses. She's often seen as the familiar of witches and wise women in the past. She's also, the spirit animal of Harry Potter. So she represents the occult. She represents the world of magic, or she's sort of like a gateway into those worlds. She's also the companion of the goddess Athena, the Greek goddess of war and wisdom. What's fascinating in this context about Athena is that she is a virgin goddess in the original sense of that word, which didn't mean untouched by a man, it meant unowned by a man. And so Athena really was somebody who was completely self reliant, stood in her own power, um, and she was able to focus on the things that were important to her, not just focusing on helping others achieve their dreams. And that really seems to be what Al is bringing forward right now. That sense of standing strong in our own intuition, standing strong in our own wisdom, and our own sense of there is more to life than what we've sort of been taught to believe. And that really seems to have been the gift of Owl this month. That she's inviting the dreamer into a different way of seeing themselves, and also a different way of seeing the world. So the dreamer will often tell me that owl, just when they meet this owl in their dreams, that she stares right into their soul. Everything that they might be able to keep hidden from everybody else can't be kept hidden from Owl. So this month, Owl really has had this very direct, almost ruthless message to the dreamer, which is the waiting's over, preparations are done. Life begins now, and the life that you want to live begins now. And so it's interesting because Owl has this sense of the otherworldly too. Like she's really bringing in this consciousness around the occult, around the spirit world, around lunar consciousness, as we call it, which is so different from just the day to day world. She's bringing in this sense of what is the world when we close our eyes? What is the world when when we're in the darkness of night? Spirits arise, dreams arise, something different happens, right? And Owl is really sort of perched between that world and our conscious everyday world. And so the call to action that Owl has a lot to do with the transformation that is, yes, I want to live in a certain way in the real world, in the sort of conscious world. But in order for me to do that, I have to have a real connection to something else too. I have to have a connection to the spirit world. I have to have a connection to the betwixt and the between. And I have to embrace this possibility that there is more between heaven and earth than what is dreamt of in our philosophy. So she really is a portal into a different way of seeing, a worldview where the unseen, the intangible, is taken as seriously as the things that we can see with our naked eye. And so that's pretty exciting. And I think for me and my own personal experience over the last couple of years, that heightened sense of intuition, that inner knowing, has just been so developed. And it wasn't something I tried to do. I think it really was just a byproduct of spending all this time working on dreams, my own dreams and other people's dreams. I never set out to become psychic. That was never an ambition of mine, but things just started shifting because I was swimming in the unconscious so much. And lately, with the advent of Owl and similar images, I'm seeing this call really rise for so many people. So Owl comes with a call towards action, but it's an inner action. She wants us to take our intuition seriously. She wants us to become wise. And I think for Owl, what that means is to really live more in the betwixt and the between, and to really embody our intuition as part of our lived experience. That is part of our larger purpose in life. She tells us that to really be in our element now and to really be in an element that the universe can support means to embrace these other worlds, means to embrace lunar consciousness, the silent way of knowing and an understanding of intuition. So I would say, if that's something that's been up for you, and if Owl has been visiting your dreams too, let's say, what would it be like to embrace a larger worldview that perhaps could include these subtler ways of experiencing life? What would it be like to invite Owl to really take the lead and show you around in the unconscious, to show you around in the realms of intuition, and to fly with Owl through the night sky, through this dark sky that we know nothing about? You know, what would it be like to see with the inner eye and hear with the inner ear, and allow Owl to really be your guide in doing so? What if preparations to live that larger purpose were done, and that it wasn't something to be done sometime in the future? What if living the larger purpose was actually now? Owl is really asking us to stand up in who we truly are. And it's been quite remarkable to witness how she's brought the sense of self to the dreamers this past month. And I think it is a very scary thing to trust our intuition in this crazy world. But since the world is so crazy, it almost seems as if our intuition and our felt sense is really the only thing left for us to trust. I also think it's scary, of course, to toy with the idea that there is more happening in the world than what we have been taught to believe. But, let's face it, the supernatural in all its glory, whether it's telepathy or, the occult or sound healing, whatever it may be, all of these things are so much of a part of the daily conversation in our culture now that in order to develop our own authentic relationship with it, Owl can be such an extraordinary guide because she really knows. She knows her way around the world of intuition and the world of the occult. So I think that's really what that image is inviting us to do now at this particular moment in time. Now I'm going to move on to the next theme, which I'm calling becoming love. So this is just such an extraordinary thing that's happened over the past month, maybe the past couple of months, where this image that my mentor, Stephen Eisenstadt, who founded Dream Tending, calls the beloved of the soul, has just been showing up in such an extraordinary way. So what this is a figure that shows up in dreams that sparks this sense of romantic love for the dreamer. So the figure might be, a past love. It might be the one that got away. It might be somebody that the dreamer is attracted to in their current life. It might be some strapping celebrity or some kind of amalgamation of all of the people that the dreamer has been in love with over the years. But in the dream, the beloved of the soul comes to invite the dreamer into just embodying this whole different capacity of love. They're always inviting the dreamer into some kind of romantic encounter, some kind of romantic situation, whether that may be to slow dance together, to make love, or the beloved of the soul, this figure, will even often sort of propose marriage to the dreamer. And the message they always come with is, I've loved you since the beginning of time, and you and I are meant to be together. It's just the most beautiful thing to watch that field be created as the dreamer works with this energy of the beloved of the soul. But the somewhat tragic twist to the story is that this figure in real life, if there is a counterpoint in the real world that looks exactly like the image in the dream, is often unavailable to the dreamer. So that might look like they live in another country, they're already spoken for, the dreamer already tried to be with them and it didn't work out. Anything like that, that makes this energy or the counterpoint out in the real world that holds, that presents as this image, is unavailable, is not somebody that the dreamer can actually attain. But this isn't a cruel joke that Psyche is playing on the dreamer. What it really is an invitation to take responsibility for the love and to see that love as your own, as our own. It's not something out there that creates that feeling of love. It comes from within us, and it's actually available at all times. And sure, the dream figure might spark it, might open it, but it's ours, and it's always there for us, and it's something that we can extend out into the world in the most magnificent way, where we truly become love, and where we fall in love with ourselves, we fall back in love with the world, we fall back in love with our fellow human race. And I can't really think of anything that could be more important these days with everything that's going on than the capacity to do that. And the shift that's been happening for the dreamers this past month as they engage with this image is just profound. So it goes from this sense of feeling shortchanged by the dream, feeling shortchanged by the world. Like, why am I dreaming about this person who's unavailable to me? To again understanding, whoa, I don't need anyone to generate this feeling. And I already have all of the support, all of the love, all of the protection, and everything that I need inside of myself. And if I can let myself be companioned by the inner figure, it's like I plug into the source of love that comes from the universe itself. It's really been a beautiful thing to see. And the dreamer will go from, what can I get, to what can I give, the shift comes in the form of who will love me to how might I love more. And that's a pretty big deal. That's a pretty big deal, especially in our world today. How can we love more? Maybe that is the one responsibility that we could take that could actually shift things. If you're like me and you have a young child, you have probably watched the movie Frozen about 1,000,000 times. But I want to say it's not just a kids movie. It's a myth. It's a new myth for the world. That's why the kids love it, because it gives us the myth of our world right now. And so it's not just for children, it's for grown-ups too. But in that movie, what we are told is that only an act of true love can thaw a frozen heart. And the beautiful twist to that story, of course, is that it's actually not the love interest in the movie who presents this act of true love. It's the two sisters who are the true loves, and they've loved each other since they were very small. But I think collectively we have allowed our hearts, or the heart of the world, to become frozen. It takes me about, I would say, 30 seconds of news watching these days to confirm that theory. But what the dreams are telling us is that it's time to unfreeze that heart. It is time to become the love that the world needs. It's a risky thing to do, of course. We don't want to open our heart because we can get hurt. But I think it is necessary, and I think particularly when it seems like a nonsensible thing to do, and particularly when it seems like a scary thing to do, and particularly when we don't know what's going to happen, it is the most worthwhile risk that we can take for ourselves and for the world as well. I want to bring in a short poem by Hafiz, the Persian poet Hafiz, who says, "Even after all this time, the sun never says to the earth, 'You owe me.' Look what happens with a love like that. It lights up the whole sky." And so I think, in conclusion, owl, which is such an image of wisdom and intuition, and the beloved of the soul, which is this invitation to embody love in a whole new way, they really both are asking us to connect back to our hearts, to let go of expectation, to let go of the story of what it's supposed to look like or how we want it to look like, to let go of these illusions, again, of fear, separation, dependency, victimhood, and to really stand strong in our hearts. It is a condition of complete simplicity, costing no less than everything, as the other poet, T.S. Eliot, says. So it's a massive release of what we know, or what we think we know, and it's always risky to step into a different way of being when the future is so uncertain. But what I've seen in the dreams that I've tended, and what I've really also experienced in my own work with images similar to these ones, is that when we do, and when we do repeatedly, and when we keep showing up for those energies and the call that they have for us, what they are asking us to do, the world can become not just bearable, it can actually become quite magical and luminous. So I hope that this has piqued your interest in your dreams, and that it has helped you somehow in realizing where we are and where we might be moving towards, despite of all of the noise in the collective. If you are interested in having your images, your personal dream images tended in this way, please just comment below, put them in the chat, and tell me what they are, and I will tend them in a future video. Below you'll also see a link to my Substack, where there is a slightly more curated version of these images, and I'm also linking to my website below if you're interested in learning more about my work. Until next time, I hope you stay sane, I hope you watch your dreams, and I look forward to seeing you again very soon.